Yo, what is going on? So, bad news. My brand new phone broke. Uh, it just stopped working. The camera stopped working. So it's more of my luck. Don't know why, but so we are recording on a GoPro Hero 4. And we are in the garage and I'm here to basically update y'all on this car. So we're gonna start working on this car again. It's been a little bit, took a little bit of a mental health break and a little bit of a financial break as well. And, Tony let me use his boroscope here. So this is a Bluetooth boroscope. It's a little bit dirty, as you can see, because I've been using it, and everything I use gets dirty. But yeah, so it's not Bluetooth, it's Wi-Fi, but you hook it up with Wi-Fi, and it basically shows you what's going on in tight spots. And so we stuck it down here, into the transmission area, and looked at the shifter fork or the clutch fork for the transmission. And firstly, I spotted some liquid in there, looked like something had looked like maybe a clutch slave failed, or a front main seal rear main seal failed on the motor, something weird. No other obvious things. And it's weird because I bled this clutch system twice now, and I bled it really well. I used a block of wood so that it simulates kind of like a person in the car pressing their foot down and waiting for the fluid to come out, and couldn't get it to work. So my theory is that the clutch is stuck now, in addition to having some fluid on the clutch material itself. So long story short, transmission has to come out. So I'm going to charge up this GoPro while I'm doing some work here, and then update you guys as we go on, All right. I don't remember seeing this. So, why is the outside of that pressure plate silver? What? Something is grinding on that. This was a used pressure plate and clutch and flywheel setup out of a parts car, but it wasn't really used. It was old and it was used, but it looked brand new. It actually came off a car. The guy installed it incorrectly, and the car, he was like, "Oh, it doesn't run." Ended up just destroying his main shaft bearing, and long story short, it's in one of my old videos in the 2022 race season. And so, I ran it because it was an ACT, and because all the Exities that we were running before in H4, they were cracking. So, and the throwout bearings were cracking. So I put a OEM Honda throwout bearing on there, and the ACT on, and I had no issues for 2 years with the ACT. So maybe the ACT failed. So I'm gonna keep going, but that's interesting. So we drained the transmission fluid, and it looks good. We removed the we removed the intake, whatever you want to call it, and we removed the starter. I showed you guys the damage to the outside of the pressure plate. It looks like there's some sort of dowel inside the transmission sticking out from the flywheel. It looks like a Honda dowel, which is weird because how would that get there unless I dropped it in there somehow? And it's like sticking out, but not floating around from the pressure plate. The only thing that should be sticking out from the back of that pressure plate is bolts. So we're going to take off these wheels now, and then we're going to take the axles out, drop the lower control arms down, and then that will allow us to get the axles out of the transmission. And then once you get the axles and the half shaft out, you can start pulling the actual transmission out. Cleaned up a little bit. Floor was covered in dust and dirt as usual, so I cleaned up at least around the immediate area of the Civic. All those boxes need to go back into the basement where my storage is. These were going to go to auto shops, but then my truck blew up, and I don't want to put them in the BMW, so they are staying here until I get a volunteer to help me clean my garage. And then this cord was being used for this leaf blower in here. My mom, God bless her, she brought me some yard tools over because all my yard tools broke, and I've been using all of my money for my race car. So I've been transporting a lawnmower from the Philly area back to here, and then back to the Philly area in my truck, and then truck blew up, and she's a beast, yo. She actually put that lawnmower in the back of her car. She's in her 60s, and she put it in the back of her car, drove it over here, and she's like, yo, I got you a lawnmower. so she's crazy, but yeah, so she helped me out with some yard tools, and then I did some, I fixed some of her stuff as well, and yeah, so just a little bit of a side rant. But anyway, as Taylor Ray would say, enough jibber jabber. Got to remove the wheels and the axles and all that stuff. What is up, y'all? It is the weekend, so we are now back in the garage. If you'll notice, a lot of that stuff was removed out of the corner here. There was a bunch of boxes, but yeah, so we are removing the axles, and to do that, it's pretty simple. I have a Harbor Freight ball joint tool, which just kind of spreads the ball joint apart for me, so I don't need to hammer on the lower control arm with a hammer right here. And yeah, so take the ball joint off the lower control arm, pull the axles out, and that's the first thing we got to do.
Bruh.
So I guess in a way, I'm grateful that my clutch failed the way it did. The knuckle that's on my left side, it was a spare knuckle that we had built. The circlip for the ball joint actually came out, and I believe that this knuckle is actually I believe I used some Loctite retaining compound on that ball joint as well. So I use a Loctite 648 compound, and the bores for the ball joints, they open up over time, and if this is the same knuckle I'm thinking about that I rebuilt, the bore was a little bit loose, so I just put some of that retaining compound on. Didn't work. The circlip did not. I think the circlip actually failed after I took it apart, so I think the circlip did its job, but yeah, you see the ball joint. I mean, all right, so we just got done bench pressing a transmission out of a car. Light work, you know what I'm saying? Transmission is probably what, like maybe it's like 65, 75 pounds. But yeah, so you can see here all of this fluid. So I'm gonna try and smell it now. So that smells like nothing.
Hey, buddy, smell my finger.
I think I'm too stuffed up. I think it's brake fluid though. And then also we got this like that looks like the clutch must have exploded in there. We got a bunch of other, I thought this was like dandelions. No, that's definitely clutch material. So there's a bunch of clutch material in here. Let's see. So the rod bearing actually looks fine, surprisingly. So the throttle bearing is good. The clutch fork was another failure point we suspected. Clutch fork looks okay. It's got some fluid and some clutch material inside of it. Looks like a clutch failure, folks. Just kind of what I was suspecting, based on the boroscope, based on the fact that the car wouldn't disengage the clutch. So let's get under there and look at the pressure plate now. It's got some marks on it that it never had before. So like all that metal showing here, like that wasn't there before. So something let go in here. We're about to find out what it is. Yeah, annoying for sure. So as I go through time, I'm trying to get more cognizant of what I do to the car and whether or not my strategy to things is correct. So for the last 2 years, the strategy has been take a non-competitive H4 car and make it into a nationally competitive H2 car. I think I proved that, but I didn't prove the reliability model very well. So I think I need to revise the reliability model of my program. And, so see that gash right there in that coolant line? I ran with that at Champs. I didn't know about that. And so now I see it, because I'm not rushing to put the car together. So, yeah, that's going to get replaced. It never failed. And then, of course, we had, this ball joint that came out. Ball joint is still good, by the way, so Moog for the win, just saying. But yeah, the inner diameter of that hub or the knuckle was probably too large. Transmission looks good, but clutch not looking so hot. That right there is gonna stop you from winning races for sure. And yeah. Cool. Well, there you have it, folks. So on this episode of EJ2 Track Rats, less sketchy garage, we discovered what killed my car during the championships race. And yeah, I think it had something to do with that clutch that's, ripped up in pieces on the floor. So remember I said that this clutch was off of a parts car. There is some discoloration to the pressure plate. There's some bluing going on. That could be normal, but it looks like it's a little more worn over here than it is over here. So if there was an issue with this pressure plate from that parts car that I got, it could have failed because it's a used part. Fully willing to admit that. Could have also failed because of part quality. Could be that, but who knows, So, I mean, the next time we just, put a new clutch in and we have the new parts, and that's kind of the part of building a program, You find the weak spots and you fix the car, and even if you're doing stuff on the floor of your garage next to a car like this, it's possible to build a fast car, as you guys have seen. Just, it's not a driveway build, but it's not a lift build either. It's not a rotisserie build. It's got all these bolts here are all OEM Honda bolts that I picked off of cars like this, so nothing like zinc plated or nothing like that. Nothing new. But yeah, that is definitely not going to win a race right there. I'll tell you what. Damn it, Bobby. All right. Anyway, y'all, peace. Thanks for watching, and hope y'all enjoyed this one.